So wait, you're telling me the New Mutants is actually coming out in theaters? Seriously? Not to say that bringing the X-Men spin-off film The New Mutants to the big screen has been difficult would be a massive understatement when you consider the number of times this film has had its release rescheduled, the number of reshoots it's gone through, as well as Disney's own acquisition of 20th Century Fox, resulting in Marvel Studios getting the rights back to the characters from the X-Men comics. But now we have a new trailer for The New Mutants, directed by Josh Boone, who's best known for the Kiss Me I'm Dying teen drama The Fault in Our Stars, and not much else. Not that I want to knock the director for not having more films under his belt, but as someone who didn't even bother to see that movie, I don't really get a sense for what kind of filmmaker Josh Boone is. Looking at the trailer again for this, which pretty much carries over from trailers that we've seen before, there's definitely a approach to this film that sets it apart from what we've seen from previous X-Men films, which is legitimately refreshing. I think there's a little bit more emphasis on looking at these characters and seeing how horrifying it is for them to discover that they have these mutant powers, and seeing what happens when they're all put in this environment where someone has them in this quote-unquote treatment facility that they can't leave, and they're experiencing nightmares that heighten their emotions and relates directly to how their powers manifest. And I think that there's a lot that can be done from a storytelling standpoint to make that a lot more engaging than something that we may have seen before in the other X-Men films. So I definitely want to give them credit for that. But there is the issue of some of the casting choices they've made, especially for characters like Sunspot and Dr. Cecilia Reyes, where the characters in the comics are Afro-Latino, and you don't have that here with the casting of Henry Zaga and Alice Braga, which is kind of funny when you consider that Rosario Dawson was initially considered for the role of Dr. Reyes, and this was a character that I really enjoyed in the X-Men comics and was very excited about the prospect of Rosario Dawson playing her. So I'm very disappointed in the film on that front, just because obviously it's important to have that representation, especially if that's something that the comics actually focused on as it relates to those characters. So we're already kind of missing something that would have helped the development of those characters specifically, given how much it was focused on within the comics. Barring that, I think there's still a good chance that I'll probably end up seeing this when it comes out in theaters. I think there are some legitimately smart casting choices, especially with Anya Taylor-Joy as Ilyana Rasputin. Just how they set up her character, especially in the whole group therapy scene where everyone's talking about how their powers manifested for the first time. And she's the only one who seems to convey this whole idea of her powers being a gift and something that she's not necessarily conflicted about having, especially talking about killing 18 men one by one in a very creepy Russian accent. I especially like seeing Maisie Williams in there from Game of Thrones as Wolfsbane, and just how they're kind of teasing that character, because obviously in the comics she's got a very visible power that you see presented in her physical appearance. And I'm hoping that they don't skimp on that and that they're just teasing us within the trailer itself. But we've got some cool shots with, you know, the soul sword for Ilyana, as well as the demon bear, which was a big thing in the New Mutant comics, which, despite having read a lot of X-Men comics myself growing up, I didn't really catch on to New Mutants until they revamped that title in the mid-2000s. I know there are a lot of fans who had pretty much given up on 20th Century Fox's X-Men franchise, with the exception of films like Deadpool and Deadpool 2, but I still think that this is one that I'm happy is actually going to be put out to the masses. I think when people put a lot of work into a film and it just sits on the shelf, possibly never to be seen by anyone, it's pretty unfortunate. So the fact that it's getting out at all is something that I definitely appreciate, and I love what I'm seeing as far as the tone for this film, where it's supposed to be a horror movie, it's supposed to be scary, and there's definitely a lot of influence from things like Nightmare on Elm Street, especially the third film, Dream Warriors, where you've got all of these kids, they're haunted by nightmares and losing control of their powers, and just seeing how all of that develop will be potentially fascinating just to watch. So we'll just have to kind of wait and see with this one. I'm not necessarily gung-ho excited about it, but I'm happy that it's getting a chance to be seen by people and judged on its own merits. But if there is not a giant worm-sized demon that tries to swallow one of the main characters whole, I say we riot. Thanks for watching this video. If you have your own thoughts on the trailer that you want to go ahead and share, you can do so by leaving them in the section below. Don't forget to hit that like button, hit the notification bell, share this video with your friends and family, and if you'd like to keep up to date on more At Random videos, you can do so by clicking the subscribe button, which should be appearing right over here.